Good morning! It's Real Estate Tips Tuesday, and this week's tips, I'm going to take you down the longest commercial road in America. That is Colfax Avenue. It is 26.5 miles, so we are going to do it in a two-part series. Part 1 is going to be East Colfax, and Part 2 will be West Colfax. So come along, and I hope you enjoy. All right, here we are. We are on the east side of Colfax. This is the part where I grew up, and this stuff used to not be out here. All these lovely warehouses. So this is all fairly new. The neighborhood over here is been here for a while, but all the stuff on the left side is new. I started out here because this is the part that I'm familiar with. Actually, I'm familiar with all of it. But this is the side I grew up on, and it goes all the way up north to Golden, and that is where I currently live around. So I figured I'd start from furthest to closest. So this part of Colfax is a little less commercialized. Colfax is definitely the longest commercial road in the United States, and you will see why as we start to get closer into the city of Aurora. We're a little bit on the outskirts of Aurora, and I have some family that live in this neighborhood over to the right of me, and now we're coming up to the biggest sports complex over here in Aurora, the Aurora Sports Park. And you can see the gorgeous mountains in front of us. It's a very clear day, so I'm glad for that. Up here on our right, you can see the Western Wear store, the Corral, and this has been here for a really long time, and this is where you can come get some really cool Western gear if you're looking to get some cowboy boots. And let's see, the VFW is right here, the Aurora chapter. Keep on trucking down the road here. This is Tower Road, another major street if you want to get to the airport. So, like the mountains, Colfax Avenue is our main street here in Colorado. It's a highway, but it's obviously a main street, so it's a main street highway, I guess. And if you get lost anywhere in Colorado, you can always definitely look to the west to see the mountains, and you'll know which direction you're going. Or if you can find Colfax, you will definitely know where you are, because Colfax runs the entire length of the metro area. So if you get lost, you know the mountains are to the west, and Colfax runs east to west. So if you're going north or south and you don't run into anything, or you see the mountains to your west, you'll know what direction you're going in. So that's always a good thing to remember if you're trying to look for stuff. We're coming up here on Airport Boulevard, and this is obviously the road that goes directly to the airport. So if you're in the eastern part of Aurora or Colorado and you're looking for the airport, that would be the street to go down to get to Pena Boulevard, which will take you out to the airport. So we're coming up on some of the parts that I grew up in. I grew up here off of about Colfax and Sable. We'll be coming up here shortly. And I went to school, high school over here, Hinckley High School, and it's just coming up here shortly on Chambers to the left. You won't be able to see it from Colfax, but if you just go down a little ways, you'll be able to find it. So a lot of this has changed since I was a kid. So a lot of new buildings around here, but this is all relatively commercial. So if you're ever looking for anything, chances are you'll be able to find it on Colfax. There is definitely a ton of stuff to find here. there's definitely a lot of motels and hotels on the eastern side of Colfax, more so than the western part. So this is kind of a little bit of the older part of Colfax. Well, they're all kind of old, but this one has definitely been the most neglected one. So Wolf's Motor Inn here has been here for a long time. It used to have a restaurant. I don't know if the restaurant's still there or not, but that was a local hotspot for a long time. And we have, so this is Chambers coming up here. And Chambers is the road that I used to come down to go to high school. So if you turn left here, you would be going to my high school. Now Hinckley High School is a pretty, actually they've made it really big now. It has one of the biggest stadiums, or it used to anyway, have one of the biggest stadiums for sports, and it had an indoor pool, which it still does. But it has expanded a lot. The last time I was in there, I was definitely shocked at how big it has gotten. When I was in school, my senior year was one of the largest graduating classes, and now I think that's been surpassed by many more years. Get that out of your guys' way so you can see better. Now Colfax was used as the route to come in from the east to the gold rush. So this was the main route to get into downtown Denver and to the mountains. And there's always constantly construction. That Starbucks used to be a Dairy Queen. Unfortunately, it has now turned into a Starbucks like every other corner shop. And now we're coming up to a highway. Like I said, Colfax is definitely a road that you can pretty much access anything to. So this is going to be Highway 225, and that is the sub-highway to I-25. Now this is Sable Street. This is the street I grew up on. So if you turned right and took this all the way, you'd go down to the neighborhood that I grew up in. So I used to come down here all the time, and these gas stations have changed numerous times, as well as the restaurants that you see. If you can see that Holiday Inn Express and Suites to the left, that used to be a parking lot for campers. So that Holiday Inn Express is fairly new, and there's definitely been quite a bit of changes. I used to come down here and eat lunch all the time at the restaurants, but it looks like there's not too many fast food restaurants down here anymore except for McDonald's and KFC. And we are coming up to the highway, like I said, and once we come underneath the bridge here, you will notice the big medical facilities here to the right, and then there's a couple of buildings to the left. This is the new medical facility, the Anschutz Medical Facility, and the new VA hospital here in Colorado. It also houses the new Children's Hospital, and so there is tons of new medical stuff going in here. When I was little, it used to be an army base, and I had friends that went to school with me that had family that lived on the base because their family was in the army. The base closed down, I want to say, in 98 or 99. They closed it down for army operations, and it still did medical stuff. You could still go in there for the VA stuff and the commissary and stuff like that. And then I believe around, I think 2000 and 2001, Anschutz had bought the property and decided to move all of the medical buildings down here because it had more space and room to grow. You can also kind of see, maybe you can see the light rail up there. That is our our public transportation. That white bridge you see there, and that goes directly into the medical center. So if you look to the right, you can see the VA hospital, which is all those buildings there to the right. And it's pretty big. It's a pretty big facility. It goes for a few blocks here. And then you can see the children's hospital that's coming up. That's a great facility for children's health. There's also lots of hotels. If you can see to the left, there's lots of different hotels and office buildings. And then coming up here on the right side is the big UC Health Hospital, or the CU Boulder, University of Boulder Medical, or the University of Colorado, sorry, at Boulder Hospital. And on the back side, you can't see it from here, but they're putting in all sorts of different biotech labs and other facilities like that. So they are trying to revitalize this part of Colfax. So that's why you see a lot of fences up, mostly on the left-hand side, where they're tearing down buildings and putting in new buildings. There used to be a drive-in movie theater over there. It looks like it's going to get boarded up and redeveloped as well. So there's a lot of development going on right here on this stretch of Colfax. And we're still here. There's at the very end here, right before Peoria, is the like assisted living homes that the campus provides as well. Now Peoria is definitely a street I know because you can get to my neighborhood from Peoria as well as Sable. So if you turned right here, you would go straight down to 30th, which is where my neighborhood is. So I grew up here a lot, went down this street numerous times. If you turned left, you would see the first job I ever had when I was in high school at one of the King Supers down there. But we are not going to do that today. That'll be another day. So this is the part of Colfax that still hasn't been updated. A lot of these old hotels, there's the Zephyr bar, and so there's just a lot of hotels down here that haven't been renovated in a long time, and they're old and kind of run down, and they're mostly used for people that like homeless people that find a place to stay for a night or so. They're not really your glamorous motels or hotels. And this is where you'll find a lot of the ethnic cultural stuff of Colfax too, especially of Aurora. There's a lot of Spanish food and Asian food down here, and there's just a lot of different variety down here. So this is really fun to come down if you're looking for something new to eat. So there's just a lot of variety down here. You'll also find a lot of the marijuana shops that are down off Colfax. So that is another way to get down here. Reason to come down here. Anyways. So you can see that there's still tons and tons of hotels here. And coming up, we're getting close to, I guess it would be considered downtown Aurora. And this is kind of where the art districts are. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, I came down here to the Fox Theater and did a little video on that. It will be coming up here on our left, so you'll have to look for that. There's also there's a, oh gosh, I can't even remember what the name of So you can see that there's a ton of different stores around here, and it's definitely busy today down in this area. So here's kind of the historical kind of art district here in Aurora. So you can kind of see the sign over for the Fox Theater here on the left. And it used to be an old movie theater, and then it switched over to a stage theater. And I don't know if it's been opened since COVID happened. So it doesn't say on the sign, it just says the Aurora Fox Arts Center, so you'd have to check that out, I suppose. And you can kind of see the sign here that says the Aurora Cultural and Arts District, ACAD. And so you can kind of see some of the stuff down here. It's kind of hard to see. There's the Martin Luther King Library over to the left. You might not have been able to see it with all the trees. And then this is Fletcher Plaza. And it has there's a lot of good restaurants around here if you're looking for some different yummy foods. Some of them have changed over the years, so I don't remember all of them. It's been a little while since I've came down here. When I was a teenager and had my license, this is the street we used to cruise around and to find fun places to hang out and eat and buy stuff. Always find something on Colfax. There's the Carriage Motor Inn. That's an old motel here. It's kind of the same as it did. And then there's the Riviera Hotel. So some of these are really kind of cool looking, you know. If they were able to get a little bit of love, some remodeling help to get them back to their original beauty. Now, if you take Yosemite here, and even, I guess, well, probably, you could take it left, and it will go down to the Lowry Air Force Base. Now, Lowry Air Force Base is no longer an Air Force Base either. It has changed over to be more residential and has some stores and shops in it. It has college over there as well, so definitely go there. Looks like they're doing some more remodeling of some of these old hotels here. So Colfax was named after Schuyler Colfax, and that used to be Saturdays, but it looks like they no longer are open. There's a strip club here down, famous strip club now, not so much, it's closed. I was talking about Schuyler Colfax, and so it was named for him, and he was a representative in the House back in the 1850s, I believe. That's when they named it Colfax. It used to be called Grand Avenue or Golden Road, but obviously that was a long time ago, so I've only ever known it as Colfax. And you can just see how there's still some old stuff with some new stuff kind of in between, lots of used cars. so here's Quebec. In Quebec, you can get back to the highway, I-70 if you want, or again, you can get down to the Laurier Air Force Base if you want to go that way. And so these are some of the older neighborhoods, and in later videos, I will take you through some of these older neighborhoods. These are very good places to look into for investment properties. So we'll take you into some of those areas in another video. Well, there's Buffalo Bill's Wings and Things over there. That's a pretty good place for some wings. I haven't been there in a while, but if it's still there, it means it's good, I suppose. And yeah, so Colfax pretty much hits every major street in Colorado. So we'll be coming up here on Colorado Boulevard, which is another street I know very well. I used to live down around that area when I was in college and work down there as well. But that's a little bit down a ways. So I'm pretty sure that we're now in Denver and not in Aurora anymore. So Colfax spans 4 cities, so Aurora, Denver, Lakewood, and Golden. And we're now in Denver, but we're still on East Colfax. So this is still considered East Colfax. And it doesn't become West Colfax until we get into downtown Denver. And then it becomes West Colfax, so west of downtown. Oh, I forgot we're going to go through Monaco. This I will take you through, not today, but another day. Monaco. This is one of it's called Park Hill neighborhood. It's one of my favorite neighborhoods, so we'll definitely drive down that one another day. Some of this stuff is definitely newer. It's not as familiar when I used to drive down here all the time for school or just things to do when you're a kid. The buildings all look familiar, the businesses not so much. Mixed Up Creations, that was always a fun place to go to. When I was a kid, it's a paraphernalia shop. Oh, Axiom. That doesn't look like it's opened anymore, but that was a really yummy Ethiopian restaurant. And that was pretty good stuff. Oh, Mod Living up here. This is a really cool furniture store. And CB's Fish and Chips is a really yummy place if you really like fish and chips. I really highly recommend that. Super yummy. There's definitely other little restaurants that have popped in here I don't remember going to. We're definitely coming up now to, we are coming up to Colorado Boulevard. You can kind of see to the left, up there is the National Jewish Health and St. Joseph's Hospital. That is a very good facility for lung health. They're very known for asthma and anything to do with lungs, so that's definitely a place to go. And St. Joe's is a good hospital as well. Now, Colorado Boulevard is a main strip, and it has a lot of the things, the cultural things here in Colorado. So if you go down here to the right, you will head down to the Denver History Museum, the Denver Zoo, and there's also if you go down further to the left, you will be able to hit I-25, the highway, and there's lots of little, that's where the University of Colorado's hospital used to be before it moved down to the Fitzsimmons, the Anschutz campus down there that you saw earlier. So that's where that used to be. There's still some things I think that operate down there, but not too much. I don't know if you can see this motel over here, but that one is a very old motel here on the right. And it had an elevator. It used to have an elevator that was on the outside, so that when you got into it, you could see, you could see everything. The Royal Palace Motel, that's right. It doesn't look like it's opened anymore. I know it had a fire a while back, and they had to close it. So now we're getting into some more newer stuff on Colfax, and some of this stuff is definitely newer to me. It was kind of, the stuff that we saw before was kind of what I remember it being, but they've been trying to revitalize it and build it up and make it nicer down here. So they have a lot of different facilities and shops and stuff that are, like the Sprouts is new and things like that. There's also over on the left-hand side coming up, if I didn't miss it already, is the Tattered Cover, which is a independently owned bookstore that is pretty amazing. It has a lot of cool stuff. Oh, and here on the right, before I get to the Tattered Cover, here on the right is the Bluebird Theater. It's a great theater to go see some music. Some great bands come and play there, small local bands and stuff. It's a great place. There's also tons of restaurants around here that are great to come and eat. But back to Tattered Cover. The Tattered Cover used to be in Cherry Creek, but then it moved. Annie's Bar is good. But then it moved down here, the Tattered Cover bookstore. It moved down here, and it's a bigger facility, and it's cheaper rent. They had a issue with Cherry Creek raising the rent and blocking off a lot of parking spaces and stuff. So the Tattered Cover had lived, or was in Cherry Creek for as long as I can remember. It's where I had my first parking incident. And so, oh, it is over here on the left. And then over here on the right is East High School. So it's one of the ones that's right in the middle of the city. So Twist and Shout is also there. Twist and Shout Records is in there with the Tattered Cover. And I don't really know what this building is here on the right. Don't recognize it. It's a newer building. So Josephine and York Street, they're one-way streets here. And if you take these, if you take it north or south, or to the left, that's where Cherry Creek is. And if you take it to the right, you can go down and see the zoo and the museum down there. But if you go left on York Street here, you'll go down to the Botanic Gardens as well. That's a cool place to go if you want to visit. Let's see, there is a brewing company, I think, up here. Might have been back there a little ways, but it was pretty cool. Oh, the Lion's Lair, I don't know if you can see that one. It's here on the left. It's no longer open anymore, but that was a cool bar back in the day. There's a bunch of stuff here on the right. Illegal Pete's is a really yummy place to eat. Purple Haze. Oh, and Pete's Kitchen. Oh my gosh, don't forget Pete's Kitchen right here on the left. Oh my, it is the best place ever. Used to go there after the bars or after dancing when I was younger at 2 o'clock in the morning. Has some of the best breakfast food. Make sure you check that out. And looks like other stuff that used to be here is starting to either be renovated or torn down and something put in its place. Let's see, coming up here, Scooter's Liquors. I used to go there a long time ago when I was in college. They used to have a scooter on the top. Doesn't look like they have a scooter on top anymore. I think it's still a drive-through though, isn't it? Yep, it's still a drive-through. Oh, the Streets of London pub. That's a good place to go. I like that place. We're coming up on the Fillmore. Oh, this the Irish Snug is a really good place as well. Yummy food and beers there. So the Fillmore used to be the Mammoth, and it is another place to go and see local bands and music and concerts. I've seen a lot of awesome places there. I don't know if they're even open yet. I don't know if they're allowed to open during COVID yet. But it's coming up here. Up here on the right. It'll be up here on the right. Oh, and the Ogden Theater as well. The Ogden Theater is here. That is another place. Doesn't look like it's open though. Looks pretty boarded up. That's kind of sad. I loved that place as well. Oh, here's the Fillmore, so. It looks boarded up as well, so don't know if they're open yet for business. The only downside to these places is that there's nowhere to park and you have to park in the neighborhoods, and parking in the neighborhoods is a nightmare. But if you can find a place, or you can ride the bus or Uber down here, these are awesome places to see a concert. Very intimate, very small. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please press the like button and subscribe and push that bell notification button so that you can get these great tips in your email box every week. And you'll get the notification for part 2 of Colfax Avenue. And until next week, have a wonderful rest of the week.